Hello there, everybody. Welcome to this Facebook Live with Forks Over Knives. Happy Friday to you. I am Steven, your Customer Success Manager at Forks Over Knives and with Forks Meal Planner, which we'll be talking about shortly. Sadly, we are missing my partner in crime, delicious, healthful crime, that is, and that's Corey. I am going solo today, but technically I'm not solo because I am here with all of you. I am here in Baltimore, Maryland. Where are you tuning in from? Please, whenever you get a chance, share in the comments where you are tuning in from. It's been amazing to watch the Forks Over Knives community expand and flourish over the past decade plus, all over the United States, all over the world. So it's always wonderful to know where you are specifically watching from. And today we're going to be diving into a wonderful topic. Hopefully it's something that you're not only interested in, but you're looking to overcome. And that's finding new favorites to satisfy cravings. Yes, we all get cravings of different kinds at different times, no matter where we are at in our specific diet and health journey. And today we are going to key into certain important tips, some wonderful guidance, some wonderful snack and recipe ideas to make sure we are satisfying those cravings in a healthful, delicious, and nourishing way. Hello to Kim from Woodbury, Tennessee, and Victoria from South Seatucket, New York. Again, keep chiming in whenever you get a chance. I'm also going to be asking you some questions because I want to find out where you are at in your cravings journey. Are cravings holding you back from living the most healthy life that you would like? Do you find that there are certain foods that keep sort of nagging at you? Good news. When you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, a plethora of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, tubers, potatoes of all kinds, and especially if you're using any of the recipes from Forks Over Knives and Forks Meal Planner, there is an abundance of options that are going to satisfy the specific craving that you're looking for. And over time, when you become a master, when you become a pro in your cooking, in your planning, and also getting your taste buds really connected to the deliciousness that whole plant foods can provide, cravings are going to change a little bit. If anyone out there has a craving for a nice fresh kale salad ever, you know what I'm talking about. Hello to another Kim from Barefoot Bay, Florida. So let's dive in, and we're going to start off with some tips, some guidance, because we really want to start with why are we getting these cravings and what can we do about them? So we all get cravings. Let's accept that. The cravings are going to come. And this is something that Corey and I have talked about in previous lives also. We are going for persistence, not perfection. We're all going to slip up every once in a while. The craving's going to come. We want to focus on this specific diet or this specific discipline, and something happens and we eat something that maybe is not the best thing for us. Maybe we don't feel good afterwards. The most important thing to know is that your next bite, your next meal, your next day is always a fresh start. We don't want you to have to carry the burden of, oh no, I messed up. I might as well just scratch it. Start fresh with whatever is next, because when you have a new square one, you can build upon it. And once you get that consistency through persistence, not perfection, you can find your way into creating much easier to follow habits that make you feel good in the meantime. Knowing your why do I want to eat a healthful diet? And remember, healthful diets are not delicious. We are combining the two together. We can still experience that tastiness, that deliciousness while taking care of our health by putting certain foods in our mouth. So why are you wanting to eat healthfully? And if you know your why, that's 80%, maybe even 90% of the journey. After that, it's really just preparing as best as possible to set yourself up for success. And all of these tips, these recipes, the guidance, the articles that Amanda might be sharing in the comments a little bit later on are going to be setting you up for success. How about we redefine how to fulfill a craving? Now, when we think about cravings, we think about cravings towards those foods that, we want to stay away from because we know they're not necessarily as healthy. The really, really salty, the really, really sweet, the really, really high fat foods and such. Of course, they're delicious. But what if we redefine how to fulfill a craving? If we understand that a craving is ultimately to nourish something within us, and it could be emotionally, of course, but even physically on a nutrient level, you can make a healthy and fulfilling decision to satisfy a craving. Like I mentioned, when you get to a certain point in your journey and you're building upon those habits, yeah, a nice fresh kale and tomato salad, believe it or not, can fulfill a craving. A baked potato can fulfill a craving. Roasted chickpeas, something that just gives that little extra bit of crunch, and something that we can do with our hands, throwing things in our mouth, can fulfill a craving. And lastly, early on is going to be the most challenging, right? The first step is the hardest. That is the case with so many different challenges and journeys in life. But if we go with persistence, not perfection, we always jump on that next opportunity, that next bite, that next meal, that next day. Once the practice is in process, everything will become a lot more natural. So if you're wondering in your mind, how am I going to do it? It's going to seem the most daunting. If you're in the very first step of your journey, it's still going to seem the most daunting. But if you give yourself that grace and you move ahead and get to step 2, step 3, day 4, day 5, so on and so forth, your taste buds will begin to adjust, and you'll begin to receive different satisfaction from more whole plant food options. And then we are totally redefining what cravings are and what can satisfy them as we go. The next thing we want to make sure is that we are getting enough calories in our day. If we are hungry, if we are hangry, well, there's going to be something that's pinging inside our head, that's pinging inside our body saying, I just need something that makes me feel good. So again, the full plethora of whole plant foods, and I'll be diving in even further, especially to address specific cravings, whole grains, beans of all kinds, legumes, potatoes, starchy vegetables, even fruit. Some more of these high nutrient dense, but also calorie packed foods are going to make sure that our body is satisfied. And when our body is satisfied, well, in that case, we might not necessarily have a craving for something that is not good. I'm seeing some people chat about what some of their cravings are. Salty snacks is what we're wanting in the afternoon. Chips and dip. Oh boy, wait till I share some of the cool snacking options in addition to fuller recipes with you. And we always have a wonderful, wonderful assortment of articles on the Forks Over Knives website to show you how you can get that snacking in there to have something available. Now, before we go to snacks, something else that I do want to mention that's very important is drinking water. When you first get that craving, there could be that impetus to go to whatever you want to go to. And then once we eat it, it's too late. So if you can almost interrupt that just for a moment. Are you hydrated? Have you had enough water in the day? Could you pour yourself a glass of water, drink it in full, and just give yourself a few moments? Now, I'm not saying it's going to solve all of your cravings, but if we can halt that moment and go, okay, I've taken something in, I'm going to take a pause. Now, can I make a choice that's best for me? That'll put us in the best shape to make sure we are not being overwhelmed or overcome by our cravings, but we instead are overcoming our cravings. Fruit is always a great option. That will lead us right into snacking because we are talking about high water foods, right? There's a certain juiciness to it. Also, there's a nice little meat, not that type of meat, but the meat of the fruit, so to say. And we are also getting a high water food in there. So simple snacks. We're going throughout our day. We're not necessarily worried about a specific meal. When we're at home, we can make a meal. When we go out, we can get a meal. But if we have some simple snacks that are ready to go, well, then that will satisfy those moments when a craving comes up. So we can do something as simple as grapes, carrot sticks, sliced bell peppers, bananas, apples, fruit and nut bars. Now, here's the thing. We have some simple ones there, but sometimes we go, I still need a little bit more with it. I'm craving something else. Chips and dip were one of the things that someone mentioned in the options. So why don't we then take it to the next level? Not just grapes, but if we make a whole food plant-based chocolate sauce, something that we can put in a little container, dip a grape in and eat it. Now we're not only getting that juiciness, that water of the grape, but we're also getting a little bit of a sweetness, perhaps a little bit of that extra little bit of fattiness from a chocolate sauce. Carrot sticks and hummus, something to be able to dip in to get a little extra pizzazz to the taste buds, something that's a bit creamy. Carrot sticks and hummus. Sliced bell peppers and a homemade cheesy sauce. We have so many wonderful cheesy sauces on the Forks Over Knives website and Forks Meal Planner. I know I keep saying I'm going to show you, but if you stay with me, we have a wonderful offer today for starting with a wonderful resource that will help you get that organization, that discipline, that direction, that guidance, that inspiration to hopefully avoid cravings. And I will get to it. Just hang along with me. Bananas and apples. I love both of those. Let's add some peanut butter to them. Again, something that we can dip in a little bit of that extra fat, something that's creamy. We have the crunch, the smoothness of these fruits. Roasted chickpeas are one of my favorite things to do. There's nothing better than putting a whole bunch of chickpeas either in the oven or in the air fryer. And chickpeas, I think, are one of the most malleable foods as is. But to get that extra little crunch, something that gives us, and hey, a little sprinkle of sea salt on top, if we can manage that by not doing a ton of salt, not getting so many prepackaged snacks that are very, very high in sodium, but if we can control it by just adding that little bit of whole food plant-based Salt Bae at the end, then we can get that little bit of saltiness while not overdoing it. And yes, love those roasted chickpeas. If you haven't tried them yet, wait till I show you some recipes with it. Some final things are trail mix. And if Amanda, if you could share one of the snacking articles that we have in the comments, this is just a wonderful short list to have. And then if you have your checklist ready to go, then you are all set. Now, what are some other foods? I know some people are chiming in. What are the foods that really get you? What are the cravings, right? And when we talk about whole food plant-based, we already talked about the foods that are there. What you won't find in Forks Meal Planner recipes, of course, are meat, dairy, eggs, cheese. And I know that we're talking about over here, we already talked about some salty snacks and everything. So hopefully some of these recipes, some of these snacks, maybe just with that little bit of, again, that little bit of extra salt that we're adding at the end can satisfy that. A little bit goes a long way. For some of the larger cravings that we have and those foods that I mentioned, for meat, for dairy, for eggs, for cheese, so on and so forth, we have some wonderful options that we can throw out. Again, we're getting the calories in, we're taking care of the body, and we're also taking care of the taste buds. So if meat is the thing that is jonesing, that you're jonesing for, what are some whole plant food options that can really satisfy that similar or the same sense of craving? Now, the bean world is immense. Black beans, garbanzo beans, chickpeas, like I said, they're my favorite. White beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, great northern beans, Mediterranean beans, lentils, black-eyed peas, so on and so forth. There are so many to explore and try out, and those have that meatiness that can hopefully satisfy some craving for meat. We can go into the world of tofu, of tempeh. And what about vegetables? When we say vegetables, normally we don't make that association, but what about the meatiest vegetables? Portobello mushrooms, whole cauliflower steaks. And when you cook it, when you roast it the right way, it still has that thickness, that meatiness about it. And hey, I'm going to throw this out here. It is a fan favorite of so many of you in the Forks Over Knives community. For anyone who is craving a hot dog, believe it or not, if you cook it, you season it, you sauce it the right way, carrot dogs, yes, a whole carrot. You might be thinking, Stephen, you're crazy. I'm going to say, don't knock it until you try it, and make sure you try it the right way. This is just from having that recipe and so many people sharing, you know what? This was great at the cookout or at the barbecue. Carrot dogs, yes, can satisfy. For those of us who like eggs in the morning, tofu, we can make frittatas from tofu. We can make veggie scrambles of all kind using specific seasonings, herbs, a lot of nutritional yeast to add a little bit of extra cheesiness to it. Butter, if butter is the thing, we have a wonderful corn butter recipe on the Forks Over Knives website. And often a nut butter or a seed butter of some kind can at least fulfill that same sort of fatty creaminess without overdoing it. For those who are still looking for something to replace cow's milk or animal's milk, again, so many options: soy, almond, oat, rice, cashew, macadamia, flax. It's all about trial and error, right? So if you are in the know, these are available options. You can then make decisions. Hello from Vancouver, all over the world. Like I said, I'm so happy to hear that everyone is joining. For cheese, nutritional yeast, cheese sauce. We can even use potatoes, cashews, onions, cauliflower, bell peppers, carrots. blending it together again with spices and seasonings to make delicious, creamy cheese sauces. And finally, ice cream. And I am seeing some of the things over here that I'm hearing from people. Ice cream, nice cream, bananas. Does anyone here love bananas? Frozen bananas in the freezer go a long, long way because all you need are some frozen bananas, some frozen fruit, maybe a little extra dark chocolate on the side, a little sweetener, and you have yourself perhaps in your high-speed blender some nice cream that can satisfy that craving. Now, a lot of people are mentioning salty, 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 salty. And here's the thing. We want to make sure we are getting enough nutrients on all ends, eating a whole plethora of those foods that I'm mentioning and making sure that we're getting enough calories. And hopefully that'll take you part of the way. As far as that saltiness, ultimately, when it comes to looking for maybe some of those other packaged items, right? We don't want to overdo sodium. And a great forks over knives guideline is taking a look at the calories per serving and the sodium that's included. And we want to make sure that sodium in milligrams is usually no higher than those calories. We want to go for about a 1-to-1 ratio. And that's just a tip when it comes to label reading. If you are looking for some snacks that have a little bit of extra salt, but it is great with all the options I mentioned to bring it back into your control. And how can we just add that little sprinkle of salt as our taste buds adjust from getting away from over salting and too much fat? A little bit of salt goes a long way. So based on some of those options, we have some salt. Is there anything else, any other cravings out there? We have chips and dip. We said some salty things, a salty little snack in the afternoon. Is there anyone out there who's having difficulty with other cravings? And I'll also put it out there. Are there any healthful cravings that you already enjoy? Is there a certain fruit? Is there a certain healthy snack that you go to that actually satisfies those cravings? If you're part of the Forks Over Knives community, you will see that there are so many people who come up with wonderful options out there. So I hope that you will join the Forks Over Knives community. Beyond the full community, I do have a fantastic resource because this is all about bringing our options in. So we have a ton of options and having guidance for moving ahead. I just shared a whole bunch of notes. Hopefully you're taking them or will remember them or can watch them on the replay. But I want to introduce you to a wonderful offer we have with a fantastic resource that can take everything that I mentioned and put it into one place so that you are not scattering all over the place. You have it ready to go. And that is Forks Meal Planner. This is our primary resource when it comes to a one-stop shop for recipes, for guidance, for direction, for a shopping list, above and beyond. And Bess, if you get a chance to switch on over to the Forks Meal Planner, I want to share that everyone has an opportunity to start a free, completely free 7-day trial with Forks Meal Planner. We want you to get in and get started with this without any obligation, just to introduce you to the wide world of ease, convenience, deliciousness, and also healthfulness. As I scroll through this main page, and we do have hopefully a website that's going to be put up here. The easiest way to get here is actually to go to forksoverknives.com, which you're familiar with, /meal planner, all one word, forksoverknives.com /meal planner. And you can take a look through this introductory page where we show everything that's included. And I'm talking about curated meal plans. I'm talking about a grocery list that's all ready to go. Helpful prep tasks to make sure that you have certain things just ready in the fridge, not just for making meals, but maybe some of those snacks that we're talking about. And over 1,500 whole food, plant-based recipes of all kinds and cuisines. When we talk about cravings, we all have different preferences, right? Some of the salty, some of the sweet, some of the creamy and beyond. You're going to have options for a lifetime over here. So I encourage you to check out this, dive into your free trial and get going. Take a look at things. I actually want to show you my recipe box for my meal planner. As I just scroll through, there's something about the visual nature of recipes that hopefully will inspire you to go, wait a second, I see pancakes, I see nachos, I see waffles, I see chili, I see mac and cheese, I see soups, I see noodles, I see burgers and sandwiches and so on and so forth that are over here. Yes, you are not giving up anything when you dive into whole food plant-based eating. When we talk about the cravings, you're just redefining what they are. So instead of the tuna, you're going for a chickpea, no tuna salad sandwich. Instead of the burger that's made from meat, you're going for a burger that is made from chickpeas or from black beans or a nice thick portobello mushroom. And a lot of these foods over here, you go, wait a second. I've had these before. I enjoy them on a regular basis with those other foods too. Maybe if I just incorporate even more and more and more, there are those carrot dogs that will satisfy me and make sure I am taking care of my health. So I encourage you, whenever you get a chance, please go to forksoverknives.com/meal planner. We see so many people who are improving their health, who are bringing convenience into their lives, and who have a direction and a foundational resource to make sure that those bad cravings disappear. Because over time, once you're really eating healthily like this, the cravings that come will be for the nice cream, will be for those baked potatoes, will be for that kale tomato salad. So please take a look through. I hope you will enjoy and join. And please know that the whole Forks Over Knives team is here to help you along the journey. So beyond whatever you're experiencing now, with whatever you check out in your meal planner, reach out to us whenever you get a chance. And we are looking forward to taking those bad cravings, kicking them to the curb, and making sure that the cravings that we have are for even more of those nourishing foods and meals that we can absolutely love. Thank you so much for everyone who participated in the comments. Share. Yes, I'm so happy to hear that people are excited to try the meal planner. That no tuna salad sandwich is my favorite too. I hope everyone will try that. It's Friday. It's the weekend ahead. Today is day one. The next meal is meal one. We can start right now and make sure we are all set. So I'm wishing everyone a healthful, craving week and weeks ahead. Thanks again for joining this Facebook Live. We will see you next week on Friday, as we do. Bye, everyone.